Welcome back to another Courseplay video, and today we're going to have a look at working with multiple tools. And I know you've probably seen multiple videos on this already, but I'm going to start off with something that I don't think many people have covered yet, and that is working with tools with different working widths, because you might end up doing that. So I have got a Fendt 1050 with a 7.5 meter cultivator on the back, and then a JCB with an 8 meter disc harrow on the back. And maybe not the combination you might end up using, but there have been situations when I've been doing a Let's Play where I've wanted to use two tools in a field to get a job done quicker, and they've not been exactly the same working with. Maybe two combines that are slightly different. And yes, you can use Courseplay with tools that are slightly different widths. It helps if they're close and slightly different. So I'm going to go through that first, and then we'll do the classic tools that are the same working width. So let's set a course up, and then I'll just show you how it works and some things that I've messed around with to improve how it behaves with tools that are a different working width. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take the narrowest tool to set up your course. So we have the 7.5 meter tool on the back of the Fendt. We're going to open up Courseplay. So to do that is your delete key. I'm using version 8.0.0.6, which is the latest available version currently on GitHub. I'll leave a link down below for that. We're going to click on no course to generate a course. Because I'm not in the field currently, we're going to tell Courseplay where we want the course to be. So we're going to do field position. We're going to tell it where the field is, and then we're going to do target position. And this tells Courseplay roughly where we want the course to start. So that's good. We're then going to go into the Courseplay settings and user settings, and make sure you have expert mode set to activated, because that enables multiple tool courses. So we will then go back to the create job option, and we're going to reset our field and target position. Then we're going to go into fieldwork settings. So multiple tools 2. Headlands, I'm going to do 2 headlands. The first important thing, number of rounded corners. So this isn't quite the same as for a single tool course. If you set this to 1, only the first vehicle will do a rounded corner. The second vehicle will do a square corner. So if you want that, that's fine. Bear in mind the second vehicle will be much slower going around the course, and that can be a factor when you're doing something like this. I'm actually going to set that to 0. I want them all to be sharp corners, because otherwise we end up missing bits. So, but with the rounded corners, if you enable rounded corners, enable at least as many as you have vehicles, because otherwise you will get a mismatch in the behavior. So we're going to do 0 rounded corners. So we're going to have all sharp corners. That should help. We're going to leave the overlap at 7%, and I'm going to leave the field center as is. So everything else is as default. The only thing is the rounded corners I've turned off, so we are all sharp corners. And we're going to generate our course. There we go. It does have this funky bit here where it transitions from the headlands to the up-down rows. That gives a little bit of strange behavior. We might be better to start the course somewhere else, but I'm going to leave it as is. So we will go out of the menu by hitting escape, and then we want to click on this little clipboard down here. That copies the course so we can transfer it across. And then the other thing with multiple vehicle courses, you'll see down here we have left 1, and then on the other vehicle we will be setting that to right, and that tells Courseplay which vehicle you are. So if you've got 2, you have left 1 and right 1. If you've got 3, you have left 1, center, right 1. If you have more than that, you might have left 2, left 1, center, right 1, for example. I might actually do a 4 combine course because I think I've only seen people do 3. So just to make it more complex and just to give you an example of what that might look like. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do first waypoint, and we're going to hit go on this guy. We're going to jump into the JCB. We're going to click the green clipboard to copy the course, and then we're going to click on left one to change that to right one. We're going to click first waypoint. The other thing we want to do is to click on here to go into the Courseplay settings. We're going to go to the vehicle settings. And for multi-tool courses, we have this thing called convoy distance. By default, it is 75. For this, I've set it to 150. This means there's a bigger gap so that there is room to work. It seems to work better. The other thing with this pairing is I've put the bigger, faster implement at the back, so the disc harrow is faster as well, and that just seems to help with things. Basically that means that the convoy distance is forcing separation, and that means that when we end the headlands, it just keeps that separation distance. So hopefully this will work okay. It's going to take 11 minutes to do the 2 courses, so what we're going to do is I'm going to jump out and we will just watch these 2 run on a bit of a time lapse, and you can just see how it all behaves.
Lost under the surface, don't know what you're expecting of me, put under the pressure of walking in your shoes. Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. Every step that I take is another mistake to you. Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. Can't you see that you're smothering me, holding too tightly, afraid to lose control?
So first vehicle is just finishing. Man, I love that song. So as you can see, it worked pretty well. Courseplay was managing the JCB by slowing it down to avoid any collisions. I did find that if I didn't have that convoy distance set to be long enough, they did get a little bit tangled up on the transition from the headland onto the up down road, and there's that little tiny missed bit just there, but not the end of the world. Yeah, and I did find on a smaller field they did get more tangled up. So, but then again, on a smaller field, do you really need 15, 16 meters worth of cultivating? Probably not. So, you know, you've got to be sensible with your decisions, I guess. It was this field, and you know, on a field this size, you could probably just use the 1 implement perfectly sensibly. So, yeah, there is that. For those of you that are triggered by the fact that I'm using a cultivator and a disc harrow and we have different textures and different effects in game, well, thank you for your comment down below. You're helping drive engagement, and it's really just to show you the effect of using a different working with tools, because I've yet to spot a video that was showing that using multiple tools. Everyone that I saw was saying that you have to use tools of the same size, and you don't. And I have in the past used within my Let's Plays tools that are not the same size. So you just have to be sensible with how you set things up, because, you know, in the real world, farmers don't always have completely matched tools. So yeah, so we're going to now buy ourselves another one of those combines so that we can look at running a 4 combine course, because again, I think that would be interesting, because everyone that I've seen running multiple tool courses is running threes. And I think it's worth showing you something different. So let's get this guy set up, and hopefully I don't embarrass myself by trying to show you a 4 combine course. Again, you can do different width vehicles with combines. You have to be careful about trying to avoid the headers colliding, but it does work. So I did it on my Vintage Oak series back in FS22, so it is entirely possible. So that's combine number 1. Now let's get this guy out of the queue of combines. So let's move you out of the way, basically. That'll teach me for stacking them up in not purchased order. There we go. Right, so we're going to want to create a course. And one thing I do agree with, so watching FSG's video on this, it is definitely worth getting yourself a little bit of a cut in to get the course set up. So you can do it the way that I did the last one, but this is easier. So we now just hit delete and we get up the editor. What you're going to want to do, because we've got the previous course saved in our little clipboard down here, is just hit this cross symbol. That will clear that out. And then we're going to go into no course. So again, if you're doing this for the first time, you've skipped the first part of the video. If you have, why have you? But go into user settings and make sure you've got expert mode set, because that enables the multiple tools option. We're then going to go into fieldwork settings. We're going to go for 4 combines. Switching lanes, we are going to leave deactivated. You might want to activate that if you're doing something like harvesting, but you're not using lands. What that does is it helps equalize the distance that combines have to travel. So if we go down here, and there are some really nice pictures, a really nice description, and they really only talk about it for a 2 vehicle course, and it gets really complicated, I think, if you've got more than 2 vehicles. But if you look at this first picture, and this is the default option, you'll see that as you go around a corner, the inside vehicle has a shorter course, the outside vehicle has a longer course, has to go further, takes longer. And honestly, my advice is leave it off. I think there are very few situations where it's going to be beneficial, because if you're combining, and that's the example they give is with combining, because it can help you keep the auger on the outside. Really, if you're combining, use lands, it's much better. So we're going to leave that deactivated. I couldn't see a benefit of when you would want to use it personally. Because we've got 4 combines, we are only going to do 1 headland. That's going to give us a 24 meter headland. That's absolutely fine. We're going to start working on the headland, obviously. We are going to deactivate sharpened corners. So that should give us all round corners, I think. So I'm going to leave the number of rounded corners as 1 and see what happens there. Not played with turning them off, but this should, on non-rounded headlands, add a headland turn maneuver. So they're all rounded. So number of headlands with round corners. Actually, just to be safe, I'm going to bump that to 4. As I said, this is individual headlands, and it treats each vehicle as a separate course. So we'll talk about that in a moment, actually. We'll leave all of that the same, and then field center, we're going to do as lands and number of rows per land. I'm going to reduce to 4, because otherwise I think it'll get a bit crazy with 4 combines. And let's generate the course and see what that looks like. So the course looks a bit weird, and I'll talk about it now. Actually, the reason that it looks a bit weird, if I can get the symbol out of the way, is because unlike the previous version of Courseplay, so the previous version of Courseplay showed you the course for the center vehicle. This version of Courseplay shows you the course for the vehicle you have selected, which is cool, because it makes it much easier to start and stop the vehicles. So if we jump out now, so currently we're on left 2. if I swap this, you'll see the course moves. See, so it's moving across. The previous version only showed you the center course, and that made it really hard for doing anything other than starting on the first point. So we're going to copy the course with the clipboard button again. We're going to go first waypoint. So we're on left 2 for this one. And we're going to get this one going. Going to jump into our second combine, get this started up. We're going to hit the green button to copy the course. We're on left number 2 now. We don't want that. We want to be on left number 1. So that moves us 1 vehicle closer to the center. And we will hit, no, that's nearest waypoint. We don't want nearest waypoint. Almost making a mistake there. Also destroying some crop. So let's stop that. We're going to go first waypoint and hit go. We're then going to get into combine at number 3. Again, hit the little green clipboard down here to copy the course. We then want to go to right number 1, which is what I was calling center, because that's what the old version of Courseplay called it. Haven't done this many vehicles on a multi-vehicle course in my testing, so yeah. Just cut our way in to avoid killing some crop, because I find it is better to get yourself to the start. It saves the vehicle being closed up, and then off we go. No, that's nearest waypoint. We want, again, first waypoint, go. And in this situation, it might wait because we're quite close to the other combine. So it's just giving itself a little bit of space. And I think the reason that we're dropping a swath might be because I might have some more mods installed. I'm not sure. And then again, there we go. Copy the course, and we're going to go all the way across to right number 2. And then we're going to do first waypoint again. And again, I'm going to cut my way into the crop just to get us to the start. Again, so I find this much better, and hit go. Yeah, first time harvesting long grain rice. I don't know if this swath that's dropping is from a mod that I've got installed or base game behavior, so you can comment that down below as well if you would like to correct me. So you can see now our 4 combines are ranked, and it's going to take us 16 minutes to harvest this pretty big field, which is really cool. Obviously, we will need to be doing some carting. Now, you could set up auto drive to do the carting for you. We're not going to do that in this case because that's a different video. So I'm just going to grab ourselves some sort of, can auger wagons do long grain rice? It's not an auger wagon. Let's get ourselves a nice normal auger wagon that looks like that can do long grain rice. I'm guessing that one can as well. Yeah, that can hold 40,000 litres. Actually, maybe we want a bigger one. Who misses. Let's just buy that. So, yeah, 300 horsepower. We could stick that on the fence, couldn't we? Yep. Or we could just buy another tractor. Darn it. Let's blow the expense and grab ourselves one of my favourite tractors. Apologies if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. And yeah, we'll now just work on getting this field cleared, and I'm going to work on the job of carting for these guys. So obviously there is what would be a separate video on setting up auto drive to do this. There's the option of getting Courseplay to self-unload. There's the combine self-unload mode, which is actually pretty good. And it generally works pretty well, and that way Courseplay will take itself off to a nearby trailer and unload. that's quite nice because, you know, you can just park a trailer near the field and just leave it to do its thing. Again, used that in FS22 on my Vintage Oaks series. So yeah, that worked pretty well. And again, that's the headland done, because each combine only needs to do a single headland. So hopefully it's going to wait while I get it unloaded. That would be quite nice. So these are not the biggest combines in the world, but they should quite quickly clear this field then. So yep. I'm going to keep these guys running, and I think we'll stick the music back on and get this job done.
And every second I waste is more than I can take. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. And I know I may end up failing too, but I know you were just like me, with someone disappointed in you. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Tired of being what you want me to be. I've become so numb, I can't feel you there. Tired of being what you want me to be.
We have just got the message that Courseplay needs to be unloaded, but I believe that's because Courseplay has finished. So let's just tab in to the combine, and yes, Courseplay has finished that course. So let's start the combine. I need to stop Courseplay, start the combine up and pull forwards, because it will be in the way of the other combine. So there we go. And then we need to go through the process of unloading them all. That's a thing. That is a thing that we need to do. But yeah, that worked really well. Really like the new logic that they seem to be using for that last smaller land. So it seems like Courseplay has changed that ever so slightly, so that if it can't do a complete land, it goes around the outside of the land. And yeah, I really like that. It's a much better approach than how it was doing it previously. I certainly think that's different logic. It's different to how I remember them doing it anyway. So yeah, very cool change, because it does still allow them to keep the auger out all of the time, which is, so if you're wondering, because some people do ask, why do you do lands? And it is because, apart from the one, you know, when the first combine cuts in, it does allow you to unload the whole time, which is great, because it's kind of what you want. If you're using auto drive and you've got a couple of carters running, or you're doing multiplayer, or you've got Courseplay working, and like me, you're doing the unloading, then yeah, you can keep the combines running. It's much more efficient than doing up-down rows and only being able to unload on a certain side, or driving in the crop if that's your thing. But yeah, so that's Courseplay multi-vehicle courses. Hope you found this useful. If you have, click the like button. Any comments, questions, suggestions, requests, stick them below. Many more Courseplay videos to come, and see you next time, folks.